The Northern Policy Institute hosted their third annual State of the North Conference on Thursday at the Delta Hotel. This conference is an annual event that brings together decision makers, community leaders, experts, and innovators to explore the state of Northern Ontario from an economic, social, and environmental perspective. The theme of this year's conference was Future North, focusing on the future, unlike the previous two conferences held in Timmins and North Bay, which focused on the present.
So today's our third annual State of the North Conference. We gather every year to kind of talk about certain issues that are impacting or that the people in the community feel are important to talk about in Northern Ontario. So last year we were in North Bay, the year before that we were in Timmins. So this year we're talking about the future of Northern Ontario. Right now we're hearing about certain industry perspectives where they see significant opportunities to grow. So for example, they're talking about Indigenous tourism and how there's some real opportunities there to create an economy that would actually sustain many of those communities. We heard earlier from three young people who were talking about the future for themselves here in the north and people like them. So we heard from an Indigenous youth, we heard from a Francophone youth, and heard from a young lady who's kind of went down south and then came home to contribute to her community. We aim for folks who have an important story to tell. We invite everybody across the north to suggest individuals. We were a little fortunate this year because two of the speakers actually are former colleagues of ours who are working in different agencies, and so it was an exciting opportunity for us to kind of invite them back to tell their story. We tell those stories over the water cooler, but it's nice to be able to share it with a larger audience. And of course, we look for industry leaders, that type of thing. So we managed to find a company that's looking at mining and the potential for electric vehicle batteries being built here in Northern Ontario. So that's a good story to tell. So that's one of the folks who joined us. So really the way the Institute operates is we, unlike many other institutes, we have our research agenda driven by what we hear from the local communities. And so we decided that having one major event in person every year where we give an opportunity for folks to discuss amongst themselves. Many of these conferences, it's the talking head exercise. You put three panelists, they tell you what they think. You might ask them a couple of questions and then you go out the door. We actually have about a third of the day set aside for the people who have come here to talk to each other, to share with us their ideas and their plans. And that works out very well for us. So 3 years ago, we talked about things like immigration and Indigenous investments for First Nation equity ownership. And we're seeing that play out on the ground in Northern Ontario just 2 years later. So that's kind of the reason why we focus on this kind of exercise, and we think it works very well so far.